everyone, and welcome back to the Hobo Thinga podcast. My name is Crystal Cedino, and I'm the Training and Development Manager for the Native Learning Center. I'm really thrilled all of you are joining us for another episode of this special segment, Coffee, Tea, and the NLC. With me today, I have my two very special other hosts, I suppose. Cora Anthony, go ahead and introduce yourself, Cora.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Cora Anthony, the Training and Development Specialist here at the Native Learning Center.
And with us, we also have Georgette Palmer-Smith, also known as Gigi, and she's the Executive Director of the Native Learning Center. Go ahead and say hi, Gigi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Yeah, so we're excited for, I suppose this would be Coffee, Tea, and the NLC for March. So we're going to be reviewing all things that have kind of gone on in March. And specifically, I believe we're going to be covering Women's History Month, which has had quite a bit of footing, I guess, this entire month. I've seen tons of social media posts and other things. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. And G, did you have something specific you wanted to cover as we discuss this?
Oh, most definitely, ladies. What an amazing National Women's History Month, and especially for Indigenous women. Very proud of all the accomplishments that actually took place during the month of March. And so it just kind of created an even more amazing way to recognize Women's History Month. And the first amazing accomplishment, which happened, bam, right off the start in the month of March this year, was she's a Potawatomi and Mexican-American chef, Stephanie Pillet de Spain. She won the Next Level Chef competition that was held on, I believe it was March the 2nd. And that was the season finale of the Next Level Chef competition. She is a 30-year-old private chef, and she is a citizen of the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation. Woo. Pillet, as she is affectionately known, just like a lot of us have our names that we're known as. She specializes in Indigenous fusion food, and it kind of melds both of her backgrounds. And I just can't even imagine how wonderful and amazing her dishes that she creates, combining both her Indigenous background and her Mexican-American background, basically both Indigenous backgrounds together for her food fusion. She won a total of $250,000 and a year-long mentorship with celebrity chef hosts Gordon Ramsay, Naisha Arrington, and Richard Bloss. And for her to win this, having to work under the duress and the stress of Chef Gordon Ramsay, more power to you, girl, because I couldn't do it. There's just no way. You know, there's only so much that you can take of somebody yelling at you, you know, but she did it, and it's just really phenomenal to start the month of March in this particular Women's History Month. She will go down in history. And the coolest thing about it is that it actually, being on the show actually helped to shine a light on Indigenous cuisine. So that was super amazing, super amazing. You guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I'd be terrified to work with Chef Gordon Ramsay. I get intimidated very easily. So I give props to her. But you know what? Indigenous women are very, we know this, headstrong. They carry a lot of pride. I mean, just like other Indigenous peoples, but I think women definitely, it's known throughout, you know what I mean, the culture and so on and so forth, that women, lead the household and take care of the household along with, obviously other members and so on and so forth. But yeah, so I give her props because I would definitely be terrified to work with him. Like, I tell him, don't yell at me. Yeah, so I don't know, Cora, if you have any thoughts on it.
No, I think it's awesome because it shows how resilient women overall are. But personally, the cultural aspect of, like G said, bringing the food to the forefront and like so many dishes. Like I know before I started working for the tribe, I had no idea like what Native American like dishes were, or like anything that was like particular, you know what I mean? Like I know all my Puerto Rican dishes, all my Dominican dishes and stuff. So I think it's really, really cool that it gets a front seat nationwide. Everyone gets to see like all of the amazing cuisine that indigenous communities have to offer. So
And I like that she's doing a twist with it too. You know what I mean? Like it's not just the OG, which is very good by the way, but but it's nice. It's got like a twist to it. So it's cool. You're seeing, you know what I mean, more, I guess, what would be the word? Not modern, but yeah, in a sense more modern ways of, cooking and all of that. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, so Cora, what is your favorite dish that is indigenous
oh
inspired
shoot, you're
that
putting
you
me.
like to cook?
I don't. So okay, so if we're talking about Puerto Rican indigenous, listen,
Okay, she just put it out there. Cora doesn't cook.
no, I do like to cook, and it's funny because I was having this conversation last night about different dishes and things like that. And my grandmother, another very resilient woman, she's from Dominican Republic. Um, she actually owned a cafeteria growing up, so I learned to cook from her. She was there, so all of those. I'm thinking of the word in Spanish, but like the typical Latino dishes, like I absolutely love to cook and whatnot. I think the the only thing, as soon as you said it, because I'm a chunky mama, and what is it called? Fry bread,
Yes.
right? I love it. I absolutely love it. But I haven't had the chance to myself cook any indigenous food itself. I've had the chance to taste it because why not? But no, I do, to the world out there, I do like to cook. Just all of the rice, the beans, the traditional Puerto Rican Dominican plates. My mom was here last week and I made her this traditional one that it has a special Dominican sausage inside of it. And she's like, I absolutely love how you make it. And it brings me so much joy to cook for people that I care about and love. So yeah, but no, fry bread for sure.
Yes.
If I can find indigenous cooking lessons anywhere, I will sign up in a heartbeat. Because yeah, I definitely want to try.
Well, years ago here, and we'll have to do it again someday soon. We actually had Indian Taco Day, and so we had the staff bring all the toppings, and one of our former colleagues that worked here, she and I actually made the fry bread. The interesting thing about fry bread is fry bread, but there's something about the way that it's prepared with the same ingredients, no matter what tribe you are. But the way that it's handled and the way that it's fried, the appearance and the texture of it can be totally different no
Yeah.
matter what part of Indian country you're from. Um, for instance, in the Southwest, that fry bread is very, very flat, very thin, and very large. And that's where actually, you know, like Indian tacos, which is a great infusion of both cultures coming together. It's amazing. So they were originally called Navajo tacos. So it was this big fry bread, and then you put the seasoned beef, ground beef, and with some beans, and then of course all the regular taco toppings. I mean, originally it was just, you know, just cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes, but now, you know, we're getting really creative, and we'll throw a little sour cream on it. Oh, let's throw some salsa on it, and let's top it with a big old dollop of guacamole. So that is like the ultimate Indian taco ever, ever. But yeah, our fry breads, you know, even when I first moved down here, and it'll be, soon it'll be 12 years since I've been living down here amongst you know, the Seminole people, me coming from Oklahoma, and how our Kai was made fry bread just a little bit different. And down here, they're, you know, they're large, and they're thick and just delicious to bite into. And coming down here was the first time I had ever tried pumpkin bread, which was totally different. And just you think fry bread's good? Wait till you do the pumpkin fry bread. It's just super amazing. So I went to one of the Miss Seminole pageants, and one of the contestants actually did a demonstration on how to make pumpkin bread. Oh, I mean, I was writing all of that down. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And so I did try it. Didn't turn out as well, but I got the gist of it. And so pumpkin fry bread is amazing. And back home, we also have with fry bread what we called a meat pie. And so it was the seasoned ground beef is stuffed inside the fry bread dough, and it's folded over and sealed, and you fry it. And so it's amazing. And down here, it's called Indian burger.
Oh.
Instead of meat pie. But I've also seen them cut the fry bread in half and actually put a hamburger patty in it and created an actual Indian hamburger.
That's funny though, because
empanadas.
That's what I was gonna say. In Puerto Rico, we call it. I know Venezuelans and Colombians call it empanadas. In Puerto Rico, we call it empanadilla. And you take the, you know, I gotta. You gotta take the dough, and you take the ground beef after you seasoned it and whatnot, and you put it in. And so I cannot tell you the amount of hours of child labor that my grandmother would sit me with a fork to make like
oh yes,
and
yes.
then you deep fry them. And so even till this day, I do them with my daughter. We do like breakfast ones with like ham and cheese and stuff inside of it, and we do like the one that you described. So it's interesting how different cultures, we still kind of share a lot of culinary similarities. But yeah, that's cool.
Oh, now you guys are making me want empanadas.
Empanadilla.
No, but I grew up eating, because my stepdad was raised in Colombia. So he was born in Denmark and then raised in Colombia. And so we grew up eating empanadas, and oh, they were so good. There's a restaurant actually around the corner, and gee, you took me out for my birthday one year, and
the Colombian restaurant.
Yes, it was a Colombian restaurant, La Placita. I believe that's what it was called. And I remember everyone's getting these elaborate dishes, which are just as delicious, but they come to me and they ask, like, oh, what do you want? And I go, I want 5 empanadas. And then everyone's at the table like, that's it? And I'm like, I'm happy with that. 5 empanadas, please, and thank you. Have a nice day. So yeah, That's me. And I've been doing that my entire life. My parents, every time we've gone out with them, how many do you want? 5. Okay, bye.
5 is the number, the
5 is
magic
the number.
empanada number.
That's the number. So yeah, no, what an amazing thing though. Winning and then the 250,000 and then being able to work with Gordon Ramsay. So that's just quite incredible. And she's indigenous. So
yes, and it's such an inspiration. It just inspiring to, not just young girls, but young boys, young men who are, who like to spend time in the kitchen and creating, and to that if she can do it, they can do it. And imagine someone who has that creativity to create different cuisine dishes and infuse them, with all these different flavors of, even with your own tribe, like your tribe where you come from, you've got, like you've got wild rice and you've got, corn dishes, and it's just wonderful. It really is. So that just popped off the top of the month, and I was like, it's just gonna be fun this month. March is gonna be amazing. Let's see. In other news, with celebrating our Native American women, this month, actually, they were waiting on confirmation to schedule the advancement of a Native woman to the federal bench. I know that we have, just finished the SCOTUS hearings, and so that was amazing news to see. Our first African American female getting ready to be positioned into our Supreme Court, and so this is just a stepping stone, actually, also for Sunshine Suzanne Sykes. She is a member of the Navajo Diné Nation, and she's just been waiting for committee movement from the Senate Committee on Judiciary to have her confirmation to become, a federal judge. And it was just amazing that her statement was, her opening statement was, I come from a long line of strong Diné women, and she said it all in her Diné language. And she said, the seed that brought me here existed long ago. It was held by my ancestors and nurtured by my great-grandmother when she raised her family while tending sheep on the Navajo reservation. And I just was like, oh my gosh, that is just so profound. So yeah, that was another big step for Native women during Women's History Month. Another one, Robin Sunday Allen was recently awarded Oklahoma's 2022 Mother of the Year. So that is really, really huge. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Oklahoma City Indian Clinic, and the Oklahoma City Indian Clinic, which is actually a 501c3 nonprofit clinic, it has been providing health and wellness services to our Native people in central Oklahoma for years and years and years and years. So this award it's called the American Mothers Inc., and it recognizes Mother of the Year award recipients since 1935. So it's been around a long time. And Miss Sunday Allen said, it is an honor to be recognized, and I'm just so humbled by it. I have been fortunate enough to win other awards before, but they've all been professional awards. My son means everything to me, as does my family. So this hits differently because it touched my heart. It's just like, it was so sweet.
Yep. No, I love stuff like that. Everything that goes on in the world today. And so it's so nice to hear like really positive stories, and I love that stuff. Like it's like
Feel good.
yeah.
And that's what we need more of is feel good stories. It's like sometimes you turn on the news and social media and you're like, oh, can we just get some rays of sunshine? And so when I see stories like this, and they're not put out into the forefront, but they should be. Everything else that is negative, disheartening, sad, oh my goodness type moments, those are everything that seems to be highlighted. So when you see this type of story, it just makes you good, makes the heart feel good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know I saw the SCOTUS, Ketanji Brown, and I was reading about it and how Indigenous communities are actually supporting her because even though she's not Indigenous, she's like outwardly expressed that she understands the sovereign to sovereign relationship between the US and the tribes and whatnot. And I think that's just so beautiful. But to me, as a mom, there's this one photo going around on social media when they're asking her questions and her daughter's like in the like
Yes.
just kind of like looking on at her, like smiling, like so proud. And I'm like, oh, that's what being a mom and a professional is all about. Because oftentimes it's kind of like you're put in between the two. Like either you have to be a professional or you have to be a mom. Like you can't. And so it's those moments that you're like, no, us women, we got this. We can succeed in all fronts and make our daughters and sons proud as well. So that moment definitely stood out to me this month, and I kind of I screenshot it. And I was like, okay, that's gonna be me one day. My daughter's gonna look at me like that one day.
Yes, yes.
So I wanted to talk about. I found something on the internet where we find all things these days. But 10 ways to celebrate Women's History Month. And I feel like we covered quite a bit of this, like, the Native Learning Center did. So, and this was just like off of a quick Google search. I was just like, looking for things and looking at things and reading things and perusing. And so, first one that's listed here is Learn the History of Women's Rights. And I don't know if you remember, but in the very beginning, I'm sure you remember, G, but like in the very beginning of the month, we actually did do a social media post dedicated to the proclamation, I believe, of Women's History Month. So that was quite interesting to read. If you haven't had a chance to do that, definitely go on our Instagram page. And I think we also posted it on our website as well. Then there's also be aware of issues women face today. I think it's so important to, be cognizant of all the things women have faced in history and continue to face and persevere, might I add. We are very resilient, if I do say so myself. And what else do we got here? Take advantage of social media. So I thought this one was interesting because I was like, huh, what do you mean? And so I just looked further into it, and it says using a platform to raise awareness. We posted images of tribal leaders who are women who, have kind of paved the way throughout Indian country over the many, many years. And we received quite a lot of great feedback on it. And it was so nice seeing those classic photos, that Lewis, our marketing coordinator, put up. And then he also did a beautiful, beautiful social media posts for our tribal leaders within the tribe, if I'm correct in saying that, right, G? I mean, it was a gorgeous, it had photos from way, way back then, and then it had our current tribal leadership, and it was just beautiful. So yeah, and then support women's organizations like charities, and then that also goes into supporting women's businesses. I thought that was also really good. I remember seeing on TikTok, like, are you shopping during Women's History Month for like women's businesses? Are you using that? And it's true. It's like, let's spread the wealth. Like, let's not, put so much stock into like, Walmart and Target and, all those big box stores. Let's try and shop small and support other women that are trying to, move forward, and they're doing their best doing so. So yeah. And then there's another one, watch TED Talks of women, and then support women authors. So thought that was definitely all very good ways to celebrate women And speaking of women authors, and I found another article. So coming on April 26th of 2022, M.L. Smoker, who is part of the I'm so sorry if I enunciate this incorrectly, but Assiniboine and Sioux tribes in Montana, and she's thank you. Thank you. I was like, oh, I don't want to butcher it. But here it says that she was Montana's co-poet laureate from 2019 to 2021. And she works for equity of Indigenous people in the Pacific Northwest. And she also was appointed to the National Advisory Council on Indian Education by President Barack Obama. And she has a book coming out April 26th of 2022 called Thunderous. And it's a graphic novel for youth that follows the story of an Indigenous teen discovering her roots. So I'm actually kind of excited. I enjoy reading. So I love reading, books from unique authors and, that just try and do different things. So I'm actually very intrigued to pick that up once it comes out. So yes, she's native. She's Indigenous. So how amazing for that.
I love that. I love that was one of the, the things to do to celebrate women was to celebrate authors and something that we can encourage, our children, and as for me, my grandchildren, and even though my great-granddaughter, she's 2, but she's going on like 35. She's a miniature adult, so I'm pretty sure she can read. She called me Georgette the other day.
Oh, the audacity.
Yeah, she did straight up call me Georgette. I'm like, you're 2 years old. Where did you come from? But her personality, I see her as, somewhere down the road, I see her as somebody doing this type of podcast, and they're going to be talking about her.
Yeah.
There's that little girl that, used to call her great grandmother Georgette, and, runs the household. So, getting her to read, she loves to read. Her mother takes her to the library. I think that's something that's very, very important that we encourage, our youngsters to read, and I just love that one, to celebrate, female authors, and especially our native authors.
Yep.
Great. That's great. Good times. Well, are you ready for a really cool fun fact that happened in March, with a beautiful Native American young lady?
Do tell.
Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition features first Indigenous model Ashley Calling Bull. Shout out to Ashley.
You stole the story, G.
Huh?
You stole my story.
Oh, girl, I'm gonna punt it over to you. Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
I was just reading about it, and she's a former Miss Universe as well, and so she's the first Indigenous finalist for the cover of Sports Illustrated, and she's just absolutely gorgeous. And so I was reading about it on Native News Online today, and just how she's so proud of representing just the amazingness, as I would say, of all Indigenous women, and kind of putting women out there in the forefront. But I heard where you were going. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
You could have jumped in there and said,
No, go for it. Go for it. I personally think that that's beautiful, because sometimes, and one of the things that the article said was like, just like athletes, they make their job look so easy. Being a model isn't easy, and being a minority representing such a huge population that has been underrepresented for so long, it's a big deal to see people that look like you on major magazine covers and whatnot. So I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful. Very beautiful. Yes, and yeah, she's a great actress. She's an accomplished jingle dress dancer. First Nations Canada member of, I can't remember which First Nations it was.
I have it up.
She's, that's great. I can't wait to, and I normally don't buy the swimsuit edition, but I would like to see, her photos. I think it's going to be pretty incredible.
She's Anak Cree Nation.
Okay, perfect. Yep, yep. So congratulations, Ashley.
No, that is amazing.
Yeah, no, I think this month overall for women, right? Like white, black, indigenous, Latino, it's been a really amazing month. And I think we're making strides. We just got our first female best director win an Oscar. And to me, that was really, really cool because it's like we're finally getting some representation. And the same, we got the first minority and Latina of Boricua like me win best supporting actress.
Yes.
That was pretty
cool.
Yes,
that was so exciting. I loved her. And it was so cool to see Rita Moreno sitting there with her as she received this award, because she was the original queen of West Side Story.
And for me, it's just like, even as an adult, seeing someone that looks like you, that has the same skin color as you, the same body build as you, like it's just really empowering. Like, okay, we're here and we're representing, So I just think everything that's happening for women in the world right now, it's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think my favorite part of it is the fact that I grew up feeling different from other kids, because I come from such a weird background. and a lot of the kids that I went to school with were very like white picket fence, big houses, or not even big, but just probably more well off than we were. And I remember, watching television, and no one on TV at the time had really like resembled anyone that I, initially grew up with in the family. Like, you know what I mean? We all had darker skin, darker hair, and you're not really seeing that portrayed anywhere. And it's so nice to be able to, to see that, and to see, like our minorities are, rising, and we're being shown more, which is just quite incredible, because the world is so much more than, you know what I mean, that classic, American standard, or however, you want to phrase it. But yeah, I think it's really nice to be watching movies and shows and award ceremonies and everything, and seeing, you know what I mean, this epic, like, win for other, minorities. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Well, the last thing that I want us to recognize in celebrating a huge accomplishment is the United States Department of Interior is asking tribes for help finding new names for mountains, rivers, and other landmarks that include the offensive term squaw. 660 United States places include the slur for Native women, the term squaw, which we find it very racist and misogynistic slur against our women. And so we're making headway to get that accomplished. So very appreciative of the United States Department and our fearless leader, Deb Haaland, who is making a way for us. Powista Peak in Phoenix was called Squaw Peak until Arizona renamed it in 2003. And so that kind of paved the way for the interior to look at all of these locations. And this happened, and this was brought to light in March. So very historical, monumental moment to get those names changed. So bravo, Department of Interior, for doing this.
See how cool things can change. You know what I mean?
And change, yes.
Yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Things aren't always so bad. I think that's where, it goes back to what you were saying in the very beginning of this episode. Like, it's just so nice to see like those positive things come to light, and we're focusing on, those good things, versus like all of, the bad. It's like, all right, what is happening in the world that is bright and light and cheery?
Right, right.
Beautiful. All right.
So
Well,
in HUD News, just want to remind everyone to go to the NIAC website, where you can register for next week. I believe next week. Next Wednesday is the HUD ONAP Virtual Housing Summit, and that it's actually April 6th and 7th. So it is going to be amazing. Some of the items on the agenda include utilizing CARES Act and ARPA funding for housing. There's a phenomenal panel discussion on that. A panel discussion on stepping up, best practices from tribal housing programs. Always love to hear about best practices from all of the tribes and what they're doing, especially as it relates to with COVID-19, because it presented so many challenges for tribal housing programs, and particularly in delivering services and keeping tenants safe during a worldwide pandemic. So the panel speakers are going to share how their programs work. There's honoring all the relatives, addressing gender-based violence during the pandemic in our housing communities. So super excited to hear that, as well as sheltering the unsheltered, homeless shelters and housing in tribal communities. And here's one that we always stay on top of: keeping our communities safe, examining housing policies on substance abuse in our communities. And then the ta-da moment of it, the final panel, is the future of tribal housing, looking at the next 25 years of NAHASDA. So all of our TDHEs and housing programs, you can find that information on the NIAC, and as well as the HUD ONAP Code Talk websites, and you can get registered for that. It's completely virtual, so really excited about that, kicking off the month of April. And then we will celebrate the month of April. It is National Financial Literacy Month. So we celebrate that. And that's all I have, ladies.
Crystal, do you have anything else?
nope, just thank y'all for tuning in for another segment of Coffee, Tea, and the NLC with Gigi, Cora, and I. So yeah, Cora, you can go ahead and close it on out.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another episode. Make sure to subscribe and give us a like. You can find us on Simplecast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And make sure to check out all of our upcoming events on www.nativelearningcenter.com. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.